The Orange County Animal Care Shelter has come under fire as a result of its adoption by appointment model and closing of the kennel to the public except for volunteers. This Change.org petition has more than 11,000 signatures. So I asked the leader of OC Board of Supervisors and the assistant director of OCAC why they have kept this model in place.
May I start by saying this is not a zoo. It is not here just to come and look. The welfare of the animals are our first concern, and they do experience stress. That's an issue that we deal with, and the appointment system keeps their stress levels down.
It has decreased the bite rate to the public that are visiting. That's very important both for the animal that perhaps might bite someone, as well as the community member who's visiting, right? That's incredibly important. It has decreased our return rate.
We wanted to evaluate how the adoption by appointment model works, so we did the walk-in appointment after conducting the interview. The process started by picking out an animal from a computer and filling out a form. Then the attendant told us about the dog we picked out, and after a brief wait, we were taken out to an outdoor playpen to meet Nina. The adoption by appointment process seems straightforward until you want to see more animals. OCAC currently allows making back-to-back appointments to see up to 3 animals, and I wanted to ask the animal activists and rescuers why this model doesn't allow for effective animal adoptions.
Adoptions cannot be by appointment only. People should be able to walk in anytime without having to make an appointment for a specific dog. Because right now they say walk-ins are welcome, right? But when they say walk-ins are welcome, it means you're welcome to walk into the lobby to make an appointment at the lobby for a specific animal that you pick. How is the dog that doesn't look maybe all that great, that is a little older or maybe not as appealing to some people, how is that dog gonna get an appointment without actually being seen? They need to let the people walk. This shelter was designed amazingly. It's so well done, and it was designed for people to actually walk through the shelter, to walk through the kennels, to encourage public exploration, and it's not being done. When I adopted my dog, 8 years ago, I think it was, 9 years ago, I didn't come to see her. I came to see another dog, and I just didn't vibe with the dog, and I just kept walking, and that's when I found my dog, and she was the best thing for me. But it was because I was allowed to walk through the aisles and meet every single dog to see which one connected with me. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do to help the animals.
Saying that the animals get stressed, people coming in, but those people are the only ones who are going to get them out of there. So they do need to be seen.
If we look at neighboring counties, Riverside's animal shelter does not require appointments for adoptions. Los Angeles and San Diego have hybrid models, and San Bernardino requires appointments for adoptions. Many activists say that the adoption by appointment system and closing off the kennels to the public slow down the adoption process, resulting in a lower adoption rate, which in turn drives up the euthanasia numbers. This is a Facebook page dedicated to rescuing animals that are on the youth list. I asked the assistant director of OCAC about the euthanasia numbers during our interview.
All of our statistics are available on ocpetinfo.com, and I'd like to share that we're very proud of our team and the hard work our staff does day in and day out to share that our euthanasia, or our what we call our save rate, meaning how many animals leave here through adoptions, return to their family, through our rescue partners, through our transfer program with foster help. We've been able to maintain a save rate in the mid-90s consistently for years, and we continue to maintain that save rate. And all of that information, we're transparent, and it's shared on our website at ocpetinfo.com.
When we compared the statistics provided on ocpetinfo.com from 2019, a pre-pandemic year, to 2021, we find that the animal intake has dropped by thousands, and the save rate has also gone down. ABC7's story revealed that adoptions have overall decreased, and transfers of adult dogs to other agencies has increased. This reveals a concerning trend of OCAC in taking less animals than before the pandemic and sending more animals to other rescues.
But when you're transferring out more than you're adopting out, there's a problem.
Right.
And you're never going to adopt out more than you transfer out if you're not open for people to come in and find their new pets.
One reason why activists contend that the kennels are closed to the public is because they are not cleaned enough. The photos you see here are from the Facebook page OC Shelter Partners, run by Liz Hewig, who had a shelter intervention partnership with OCAC for 6 years on site until it was terminated in 2020. Liz continues to work through her intervention program, which provides resources to pet owners to keep animals out of the shelter system. The photos were taken by an OCAC volunteer. I asked the assistant director of OCAC about the kennel cleaning schedule.
We have a system in place where our animal care attendants, they clean every kennel every morning. Everyone gets a clean kennel, both dogs, cats, mini mammals, rabbits, hamsters, turtles, every animal in our care. They get cleaned every morning and then fed breakfast. Right? Clean kennel and then breakfast. That's important. Clean kennel decreases stress for animals. And then throughout the day, we have animal care attendants who are assigned to continue to spot clean all throughout the day. And with over 500 animals on our campus right now, you can imagine it gets messy at times. But again, that's why we have a system in place where everybody's kennel gets cleaned every single morning and spot cleaning continues throughout the day.
Animal activists also want a TNR program implemented at OCAC's facility. Unaltered cats can produce up to 3 litters per year, with average litter sizes ranging from 4 to 6 kittens. Currently, OCAC's fact checker on their website does not show any intention to implement a TNR program, but that means that independent rescuers like Debbie have to continue trapping and neutering cats on their own time and budget.
My name is Debbie Hamill, and I live in the city of Mission Viejo, but for the past 12 years I've been doing TNR, which is trap, neuter, and release of cats, community cats, feral cats, in the city of Santa Ana primarily. Just since the shelter closed down in 2020, I have trapped over 398 cats at a cost to myself and another trapper of $38,000 plus. And this wouldn't have happened if the shelter was open, doing the fixing, doing the spaying, neutering, accepting adoptable kitties, because out of these cats that we've taken off the street, many of them are adoptable, and we've gotten adopted. Many have to be returned, but at least they're fixed and they're not repopulating. Communities are overrun with feral cats that just keep breeding and breeding. There are no low-cost facilities in Orange County for them to be able to go get their cats fixed, even if they wanted to. And for us trappers, it's gotten so prohibitive. We've caught so many kittens that we have had to give to rescues, and it's overburdening the rescues. They're taking on the burden of the cost and the care of these animals.
For instance, yesterday at 12:30, the emails started coming over about litters of kittens. These kittens must be out by 5. By the end of the day, there were 8 litters of kittens that needed to get out, or they were going to be euthanized. It's not sustainable. So different rescue groups were able to get out those 8 litters, but it's going to happen again today, and it's going to happen again tomorrow. And that's a direct reflection of the TNR. It's just the kitten situation is completely out of control. Animal Care has a beautiful campus. They have employees who are dedicated. They have a huge, competent rescue community behind them that all want to help them succeed. We want to save the animals. We want to be a part of a team with them, and they have completely shut their doors to their customers, their rescue communities, their partners, their employees. There needs to be a change.
This is a dog walking schedule photographed by an OCAC volunteer and available on OC Shelter Partners Facebook page. I asked Laura Lauder, who has been volunteering with OCAC for 6 years, to explain the problems with the dog enrichment program.
The enrichment program for the dogs is really important. I started at the old shelter, which was over at the Block of Orange. I actually started as on the Kong team. And what that meant is you came every weekend and you filled Kongs with peanut butter, wet dog food, kibble, and then we would pass them out to all the dogs. The dogs would get walked daily. We would have interaction in play yards, playing in pools, and unfortunately that is not happening in this facility. One of the main issues is the lack of kennel attendance. purely having the time to do enrichment, walking, play yards, treats. And then the other issue would be the lack of volunteers. At our old shelter, probably on a weekend you would have more volunteers than you would the public. And now we're in COVID, we barely have that volunteer base anymore. So I think those are the two main issues. But you know, a dog that comes in and is potty trained is being forced to sit in its kennel all day without going out. That's mistreatment, and that's not an ethical way to treat animals. And we live in Orange County. It's one of the richest counties in California. We're not in San Bernardino, we're not in Riverside. We actually have the taxpayer money to hire the staff to properly care for the animals. And if the money's not being spent on that, I think the people of Orange County need to ask, where is that money going?
Just a quick follow-up question on the enrichment program as well. So I was looking on their website and they say they walk the dogs every other day.
Well, first of all, that's not even an improvement. Walking a dog every other day, so it's getting out of his kennel every 48 hours instead of every 24 hours. That's still not acceptable. And secondly, as a volunteer, as someone going in and seeing the enrichment boards that are printed, I can say that I don't believe that's true. A lot of dogs are sitting in his kennel, especially a lot of the dogs that are being housed in Building 1 that volunteers can't even access. Some of those dogs aren't getting any sort of human enrichment. We have multiple stories of dogs being kept in there for months on end without enrichment and then being euthanized. So, I disagree with that statement.
There are also allegations of mistreatment of the employees at the shelter. I obtained a letter from an employee that was sent to the OC Board of Supervisors, pleading for a management change. The OC Board of Supervisors ultimately has the power to bring about a change in procedure and management at the animal care shelter, which is why activists have been speaking out at the meetings. So I asked Chairman Chafee whether or not the board will put this item on the agenda and discuss it.
So one last question before we end here is, does the Board of Supervisors plan to agendize this matter in the future, or do you think the status quo is good as is with the current system?
Well, we have to inquire how many animals are available for adoption. If they're too few, then we won't do an adoption event until there are enough to make an event worthwhile, because there's some logistics that go into that.
So do you plan to agendize the OCAC matter of what the activists are asking? Because at the last meeting there were a lot of public comments about change of the system. So is that something that's on your radar to change, or do you think it's okay the way it is right now?
Well, we have an adoption event coming up in September. I did one earlier, and other supervisors from time to time do adoption events. It seemed more critical, the comments that I remember, about not being open, which is actually not true.
On September 10th, Supervisor Katrina Foley's office is hosting a free adoption and job fair event to address some of these concerns. The activists are planning a peaceful protest on the same day. On September 13th, the OC Board of Supervisors has its next meeting. This matter is not on the agenda. And lastly, there is a community outreach meeting scheduled for October 26th.